I don't have like cable, so like whatever this shit is called, I don't even know how to explain what this is. It's like a
Oh, is it like the Samsung TV Plus or whatever?
that's actually word for word what the fuck that is.
I have the same thing in my room. It just pops on.
Yeah, it's just like the most random assortment
Yeah.
of like movies and shows when I turn it on.
And
That's exactly.
I have that too, and it always goes to like Gordon Ramsay cooking shit.
Same. It's either Gordon Ramsay cooking or like some rom-com.
No, literally, that's what it's always some type of rom com for me.
Hello and welcome to the Boys Upstairs show. This is the Week 15 NFL show.
Yes.
Woo! Game one on the slate is the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania battle. Eagles are -5.5, coming off a not so inspiring win against Carolina Panthers. Totals 42.5. This is a 425 game, and we'll give it to myself. Thank you. So the Steelers have lost 10 straight games in Philadelphia. The Eagles, although they are 11-2, have had some troubles recently against the Panthers, like I said, and also in the locker room with the apparent not so great relationship between AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, as Brandon Graham laid out on a podcast. If one of the people who was in that locker room are saying it, it must have some validity to it. Regardless, it could be a Kobe and Shaq type situation where they don't like each other, but they're great on the field slash court. But the Steelers -5.5, +5.5 on the Steelers side. I feel like it's a little disrespectful for a 10-3 team to be playing an 11-2 team and they're 5.5 point favorites. I don't know if the Steelers win this game. George Pickens being out obviously is a concern, but the Steelers are getting Alex Highsmith back. They've been very hot recently. They're 6-1 with Russell Wilson at the quarterback position. The Steelers are 5-0 straight up and against the spread this year when they are listed as underdogs. And this is obviously a game where they're an underdog. I don't know again that they'll win, but I think that 5.5 is disrespectful. If the Steelers lose, I think it'll be a 3 point game. And the whole like we haven't won there since the 60s in Philadelphia, that just means that we're due. So give me the Steelers +5.5.
5.5 for a team as hot as the Steelers right now is it's a lot of points. I know it's in Philly. The history doesn't stack up for the Steelers. Or the history doesn't stack up for the Steelers. Great, but 5.5, as we've seen this season, is a really big spread, and that is right. You see teams like the shittiest teams in the league are covering 14.5 point spreads by minimal numbers. I just think 5.5 is a lot. I think the Steelers honestly might win this game because they're a good team right now. I'm also going to go with the over. 42.5 is a very low number. And I feel like at the beginning of this year, last year, for a while, I think ever since Big Ben has left, Steelers unders have always been the move, but it's a little bit of a new day here and with the Steelers this year, in that they're scoring points and they're forcing opponents to keep up with them. I think it takes a little bit of a toll on their defense, not blaming the offense obviously for scoring too much. You can never do enough of that. But when you're scoring a lot like the Steelers have been recently, it opens it up for other offenses a little bit more. You're going to get a little more aggressive. So they're not just playing ground and pound Big Ten ball the entire time. And with two, kind of without Pickens, I still say they have a pretty decent operation going on offense, but they come ready to compete every week. I heard one of TJ Watt's pump up speeches really got you ready to run through a brick wall. I don't think there's a world where the Steelers let the Eagles run away with this game, especially in a season as close as this. The Eagles might start to get a little complacent with their division lead. They already have a game up on the Commanders just by beating them, plus whatever lead they have record wise.
I'm sorry to break it to you, Sam and Tommy, but I think the Eagles are going to cover. And it's like Sam said, it's going to be a game where offense needs to score points. And that plays in the favor of the Eagles, like you said, Sam. They're a team that starts off slow and then eventually they start scoring points. So the Steelers are kind of the same type of team where they start off slow and then once it gets to the third and fourth quarter, the game gets tighter, they kind of increase in momentum. But I think that plays into the Eagles' favor. That's what they want. That's the type of game that they love to play. That's what they've been doing all season. They get to the third and fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden they put up fucking 28, 21 points. The offense just suddenly had a fucking rebrand at halftime. But I think for this game, it's probably going to be the same exact thing. If it's a high scoring game, the Eagles are definitely going to blow the Steelers out. I don't think that the Steelers are able to score, especially with George Pickens being out. That's like throwing the 50-50 ball to George Pickens is like damn near 50% of the offense, damn near itself. So with GP being out, I don't think the Steelers are going to have a lot of weapons to move the ball, and the Eagles are probably going to cover this game.
So I'm gonna have to go with the crowd here, go with the Steelers. A couple things about the Eagles. The Eagles have really struggled to find a good slot corner. First it was Avante Maddox. He kind of struggled this year. Now they have Cooper DeJean in there. He's been all right. He's had some moments, but he's been just all right. And the slot is actually Russell Wilson's one of his favorite places to throw to. I think that, like Tommy was just saying, not having your number one guy, that always sucks. But you also don't have to force the ball to one guy as much. Like I was listening to Brady, and they made an interesting point. Like, yeah, Stephon Diggs was the best receiver on the Bills, but without Josh Allen having to, make sure Diggs gets his 10 targets a game so he doesn't become a diva, he's just throwing the ball to whoever's open. And instead of him, throwing 15 picks already this year because he's trying to force it to Diggs, he's thrown like 4 picks or 5 picks or whatever it is because he can actually throw it wherever he wants. He doesn't have to worry about getting someone targets. And I feel like it's the same with the Steelers. I wouldn't say Pickens is a diva, but he's like, he speaks out a little bit. He's his name is in the media quite often. So you're gonna know if he's getting the ball or not. So I feel like when Russ doesn't have to just, make sure Pickens gets 10 games or he might smack a corner upside the head and get a 15-yard penalty. He can throw it to wherever he wants. And especially with that slot being wide open against the Eagles, I feel like they're gonna be able to take advantage of that. And as everyone said, the Eagles, they just came off a not convincing win against the Panthers. They have trouble in the locker room. They just haven't really been blowing teams out. They have a dominant record, but they haven't been dominant in games. Tomlin is good enough of a coach to where he can literally just outcoach Sirianni, and they will pull this game out somehow. Maybe not an impressive win, maybe not a huge win, but if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, that Tomlin has way more up his sleeve and for this game than Sirianni's ever had up his sleeve for a whole career. Obviously, nobody can stop Saquon Barkley, but with the passing game being as it is, they might be able to contain that and make Jalen Hurts throw the ball, which hasn't worked out so far this year. So I feel like the Steelers are definitely covering 5.5. And I like the over this game, even though George Pickens isn't out. Like I said, Russ is going to be able to spread the ball around as he wants. Calvin Austin is having a good season. Definitely the over and the Steelers plus 5.5.
Does Cobb look like Nick Sirianni?
Yo, that's actually the biggest insult anybody's given me in a fucking
A little
minute.
bit. A little bit.
Wow. You better
I think
check
this might need to go to an Instagram poll.
No, don't post this. No, that's green. No.
Do cut a little bit.
So I feel like this game is definitely going to be a low scoring game as both teams kind of have the same philosophy right now. Both of them aren't necessarily explosive passing attacks. They mostly rely on like play action and whatever. So I'm definitely would sway under. But I think ultimately the Steelers are going to cover. I trust Tomlin to have his team ready more than I trust the Sirianni team to have his team ready, especially in a marquee matchup like this.
Fun fact for you, the Steelers have not lost a game this year by more than 6, and that was to the Browns, who was divisional, tough game, but very close one-score game. So if the line continues to be at 5.5, which is what we're going to take it, I'm going to take the Steelers plus 5.5. I think we have a strong chance to win. I don't think we'd blow them out if we do win, especially because Pickens is out. But I think Russ is playing his best football since his Seattle days. And I think we're just a complete team. Boswell might win MVP, and our defense is looking very solid. We might get Hull come back, which would be huge. Highsmith has returned last week, had a sack, and the Steelers offense is finding a way to score. So give me the Steelers plus 5.5.
I really think the Steelers are a good team this year, but the Eagles are catching fire at the right time, and it's a game of momentum at the end of the day. If they're rolling, they're rolling. I hate betting against the Steelers because every time that I've said I don't think they're going to win this year, they do. I'll take them plus 5.5, but I'm going to take the under. I don't like that. I think it's a little bit – I don't think they're a high-powered enough offense to cover that whole total.
Game 2 on the slate here, like was mentioned earlier, potentially the game of the year. And I know that we've said that multiple times this season, but this really might be the best game of the year. I don't understand how this isn't Sunday Night Football. Packers Seahawks, probably going to be a decent game, not better than this game. The Bills are going to Detroit, maybe a Super Bowl preview. Lions are -2. Total's 54.5. This is obviously a 425 game, and we'll give it to Sam.
What a team. I mean, what a story. Going into this year, the big narrative was the Bills' window is closed. They just lost Stephon Diggs. The locker room's broken here and there. The Bills are the best they've been in 4 years now, ever since this supposed window opened. I'm gonna take the Bills here +2. Last time I did a Lions game, I was like, I'm done betting against the Lions. They always find a way to shove it on me. So I'm gonna take the Lions. The Lions last two games divisionally, they had the Packers and Bears. Both of them by combined total of 6 points, two field goal wins. I feel like we're almost in Chiefs territory of the Lions, minus the wins. Any Detroit fans watching this, just remember that you guys haven't won shit, and you probably won't. Your biggest franchise flex is losing an NFC championship. Just had to include that in there. But the Lions are walking on thin ice right now. They've had a lot of really close games. They almost fucked that over. Dan Campbell living by the sword, dying by the sword, big time, almost costing his team the game by going for it on fourth down at the 30-yard line. I get it, and it's cool, whatever. But I'm one Dan Campbell emotional locker room speech after they win a shitty game from losing my goddamn mind. I mean, this can't go on any longer. And like I said, it is Chiefs territory. They're getting away with shit that no one else should be. They are winning games that they shouldn't. And I think the Bills are a team that can come in and make that happen and come in and beat them. With 2 points, I don't think the Lions win this game by one. I mean, it's very possible they could. But like I said, I think in the end of the day, it's going to come down to who forces the other team to make more mistakes. And I like to think that Josh Allen and the Bills can do that. Like, I think their defense can step up, although it did not step up against the Rams, which was a little concerning, but those kinds of games happen. So I don't expect the Bills defense to come in here and just get blown up again.
I don't agree with you, Sam. I,
Good. Explain
I
why.
will be boots on ground in Detroit this week for the game.
Whoa.
Yep.
How many more fans did they have than 8 years ago?
But I will be one of their fans for the week, Sam.
That's brutal.
All that matters. I have not much to say. I will be visiting a friend in Detroit, and by association, I have to root for the Lions. So, but like I said, not much to say. I'm taking the Lions here. I'm going to be immersed in the culture of Detroit. I'm going to be one with the people. So, Lions spread.
I feel like -2 for the Lions, with who are 12-1, is a bit disrespectful. I know the Bills have been really good this year, but we have seen some teams be able to contain the Bills a little bit. The Texans, the Ravens, and now the Rams last week. You know, they've all found a way to beat the Bills, and I feel like the Lions are one of those teams that are just elite in all aspects. You know, coaching, both sides of the football, good defense, great offense. I feel like they're one of the teams that can put up points with the Bills. And, you know, the Bills' weakness this year has been their pass defense. I mean, their corners are Benford and I think the other guys, Jamarcus Ingram, and the safeties, Hamlin, Rapp, they've been doing their best and they've been doing a pretty good job. But when it comes down to it, they're not covering the Lions' offense. Their passing offense is just too much. The Bills can succeed against teams with good run defenses and with good run offenses besides the Ravens who whoop their ass. But most teams with good run offenses, they can withstand because their biggest downfall is their passing defense. But against the Lions, it's going to be the pass is going to be there. They're going to be opening up the pass game, and if they're going to have to focus on the pass game, then the run game is going to be there. I don't see how the Lions don't cover this by two. They in their last 5 games, they're 5-0, but they've won 3 of those games by 3, and then they won the other games by like 30. But it was against like the Colts, and I forget the other team. I'm not looking at it. But it was like the Jags or something. It was like a team that they should have beat by like 20 or by 30. And but when they play good teams, it's a close game. I do think this game will be close, but less than 3 is hard to take for the Lions to win by 1 or 2. You don't see that often. And I just feel like the Lions are probably going to win by at least two. Even though I want the Bills to win, I feel like the Lions are going to win by two. So I'm taking at least two. So I'm going to take the Lions. And I'm going to take the over. I know the line is insanely high, like 54 and a half. That's one of the highest lines you're going to see of the year. But what I learned this year is that like when you have two great offenses, like you don't overthink it. Like Vegas wants you to be like, oh, the line's so high because they're so good, but they want you to think that. No, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. It's two of the best offenses in the league. The Bills have proven to be one of the best offenses all year. And we all know about the Lions offense. I mean, Gibbs and Montgomery, the Amon-Ra, like I was saying, Laporta, Jameson Williams, everybody, they've just been outstanding offensively. And I know it seems like a high number, but what they put up with the Rams last week, like 80 something. When there's two elite offenses, they are going to put up the points no matter what the numbers is. Unless Vegas starts putting the numbers in like the 60s or the 70s, then they're probably going to beat a 50s number if it's two elite offenses. And these offenses are elite as they come. So I'm definitely thinking that the Lions -2 and the over.
I'm as big of a Dan Campbell loyalist as it gets, so I have to take them -2. I think they're a juggernaut. I think they would be a super team if it wasn't for the Chiefs. I really do think they're that good. But unfortunately, they do have the Chiefs in the way. But I think that they're going to prove that they're a juggernaut this week against the Bills. So give me them, but give me the under on the game. Not a huge fan. That total points is just too high for me, even though I think these are two pretty high powered offenses. But give me the under and give me the Lions -2.
This game is very interesting because of what I saw from the Bills last week. I think that their defense is a problem. Like it's a legit issue. That secondary is not good. And they kind of I know the Rams offense is really good. And I know that, when Matthew Stafford is on, he's really, really on. And that was the case last Sunday or whatever day they played. But going up against the Lions, who are probably the most balanced attack in the NFL, like they run the ball very, very well with both of their running backs. They have a great passing scheme because of Ben Johnson and his ability to use the play action and scheme guys open. I think the Bills secondary will struggle. I think that the Lions will put up a lot of points. Josh Allen has been the MVP so far this year. And his ability to kind of be Superman and put the cape on has been unprecedented. But the Lions defense has the same traits of teams that we've seen from when Josh Allen has struggled this year. The game in Houston where he went 9 for 30 and threw like 3 picks. The game in Baltimore where he struggled and turned the ball over a couple times. When a team has a good front seven, is able to pressure and kind of keep him in the pocket and force him to throw from the pocket and not be able to scramble and make plays, like be the creative that Josh Allen is, he tends to struggle. And I think that the Lions have the ability to do that, and I think they will do that. At this point in the year, when you get to December, you are what you are. So I know the Bills are one of the best teams in the AFC, but the Lions are the best team in the NFL.
Last week, the Bills were the first team in NFL history to have 6 touchdowns, no turnovers, and lose the game. Their defense did allow 44 points, though, so that's a little bit concerning. And Jared Goff is 22-10 off extended rest, which they are in this game. And I just feel like this game is going to come down to, can the Lions effectively run the ball like they have been with Montgomery and Gibbs? And if they do, I feel like the Lions will win this game. But I just feel like the Bills kind of will be up for this game because of the rest of their schedule being what it is, and they want that 2 seed. And I don't know. This game is really a pick 'em, even though it's -2. It feels like a pick 'em. And because it's in Detroit, the Lions may have a slight advantage, but I don't really feel like the Bills, won't be able to play their best football in a dome. So I'm going to go with the Bills +2 here. And I also feel like points will be scored in this game just because of what these two offenses are. So I'm going to go with the over 54.5.
All right. Bills, Lions here. Probably the two best teams in the league. Perhaps a Super Bowl preview. People are talking it up as perhaps the best game of the year, which very well could be. But that being said, that means it's probably going to suck. I see maybe like a 10-7 defensive battle, not fun to watch. So I hope that's not the case, but that's usually how it turns out. With that being said, I'm going to take the Lions to win. And I'm going to take the under on the 55. Like I said, I think this is going to be somewhat underwhelming. I have no stats to back that up. That's just kind of the way it always pans out. So give me the Lions and give me the under.
Now it's time for the best part of the show. It's time for the locks of the week, and we're gonna give it to Cam Williams.
We all know I'm the unders, man. We like the under. We love the unders. We took the under last week. It was amazing. You just got to find the bad games. You find the bad offenses, and there you go. You got your lock of the week. So for this week, we're going to the Sugar Bowl. We're going to the Jacksonville Jags and the New York Jets game. No Trevor Lawrence. First week, is it Mac Jones, I think?
Oh yeah.
Mac Jones. I'm fine with that. And the Jets are favored. So there's a good chance that the Jets might win this game, which is shocking to everyone. Now, if the Jets do win this game, it's probably going to be a blowout. And if not, it's probably going to be 12-10. So with that being said, there's your lock of the week. Under 40.5 for the Jets and the Jags game.
Chris Boswell buckets over 2.5 field goals this week. I'm going to bounce back after my tragic Austin Eckler 2-time touchdown scorer lock last time, but feeling hot.
The Cincinnati Bengals are going to the Titans at -5. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the Bengals are back and that they're going to go on a run and that they found out the secret sauce just because they beat the Cowboys on a pretty Matt Eberflus way to lose for the Cowboys, which was blocking a punt and then touching it to give them a free first down. But at the same time, the Titans, it is pretty clear that they are in quit mode and kind of tank for a good draft pick and rebuild it up for next season. They're not going to can Brian Callahan this early. So I think they're kind of just trying to ride this one out and see how it goes and see what kind of pick they can get and kind of build up for next season.
I'm going next because I have the exact same lock as Sam. I don't love doing this. The Bengals are definitely a much better football club than the Cincinnati Bengals, and I feel like I have it at 4.5. Sam, I'm double checking right now. Yeah,
I look at the score, but if you're gonna go 4.5, then I'll do that too.
I'm looking at FanDuel Sportsbook, no free ads. I feel like 4.5 for the Bengals is pretty disrespectful. Have they played great football this year? No, but they've been a lot of close games with good teams. And
Keep that same energy for the Bears too while you're at it.
Well, and I feel like the Tennessee Titans are at this point in the season looking at who are we going to get to replace Will Levis. So I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals here. They still do have an outside chance to make the playoffs. If a lot of things go their way, they could make it. They got a good win on Monday Night Football in the Simpsons cast game. So you never know. I feel like they'll still be juiced up in the locker room. I have not yet watched this week's Hard Knocks, so I will watch that as soon as we are done with this. We'll see what Zach Taylor is telling the boys in the locker room. But I'm going to take the Bengals here -4.5. I think they'll win by at least a touchdown. So that's my lock.
All right, so the hottest team in the NFL right now, you wouldn't believe it, but it's the Carolina Panthers. They've come off two big games. They've both lost them, I believe. They just lost a heartbreaker in Philly. And who did they lose to the week before that?
The Bucks and then the Chiefs the week before that.
Right. So they've been competing with these high-level teams, and they're just barely not finishing the games. But they're going to play the Cowboys, deflated Cowboys, on Sunday, who are starting backup quarterback, and they've basically given up on the season. They just had a heartbreaker on Monday night to the Bengals. I think Jerry Jones has had it. And I think they might just be throwing in the towel versus Bryce Young, who's playing for his career, was benched twice already this season. Like he's giving it his all, like for the Panthers or for any other team watching. Like he's balling right now. So I'm going to take the Panthers -2.5.
So I'm going with another over this week. We are going with the Sunday night game of the Packers and the Seahawks. I have the over at 46 on Hard Rock. I'm not sure what they have it on FanDuel and stuff as, because I think I saw a couple different lines for it, but I have it at 46. So I'm going to say 46, but I would take this over all the way to 50. So take it regardless of what you get it at. The Seahawks offense has really picked up as of recently. They've been kind of an up and down offense all year, but primarily, I'm pretty sure they average around 20 points, a little over 20 points. So that's pretty solid. I know Kenneth Walker might not play, but honestly, their passing offense has been so good as of recently that they'll live with Charbonnet. Or however you say his name. I probably botched that, but he's been good enough. He's been pretty solid. And, Jackson Smith-Njigba is having a very underrated year. Nobody's really talking about how much better he's been this year than last year. And he's having a really good year. And their offense has been looking really good. And then on the flip side, the Packers, Josh Jacobs been a top 5 running back all year. We know what the Packers offense looks like with Jordan Love and LaFleur. A lot of moving the ball down the field. The Packers are in one of the most competitive divisions in football right now, probably the best division in football right now. It's a Sunday night game. I think it's going to be a shootout on national television, and it's going to be good. That the fact that both these teams just have to score like 24 points for this to hit is absurd, because these are two really good teams. So don't overthink it. Two great offenses. Like I said, when it's great offenses, they're going to score. The over of I have it at 46 for Seahawks and the Packers.
Texans -3 against the Dolphins at home. I feel like the Texans have kind of been on a downtrend from where they were last year. I mean, they're 8-5. They're in a good spot. They're leading their division. It's not the end of the world. But I feel like as we're getting into December, a lot of the mediocre teams are kind of realizing like it's time to, tighten up. And this Dolphins team, though since Tua's come back, they have been playing a lot better. Their offense has been moving the ball. The ascension of Jonnu Smith, the tight end, has been crazy. I had no idea who that guy was, and now he's like the best tight end in the NFL right now. It's crazy. But I think that the Texans are in a spot where they kind of have to win this game, because they play I'm looking at their schedule. They play Baltimore on Christmas. They got a lot of tough games coming up. They play the Chiefs next week, Baltimore on Christmas. This is the game that they have to win, because it's not looking good when they look ahead. So we have to taking that into account. I think the Texans are going to cover 3 against the Dolphins. So shout out CJ Stroud.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Make sure to tell your friends, like and subscribe. It's week 15. We've got 3 more weeks left. So don't take it for granted.
Cole Kmet, catch a fucking pass in the end zone or come on the show. There's no in between. Do one or the other. Come on, man.
Pick one.
And shout out Jonnu Smith for being one of the best waiver wire pickups of the year for the fearless leaders in our fantasy group chat. So
yeah, that guy has been insane.
Shout out to
Jonnu. He was also with Tyreek Hill in the incident.
Yeah, and Tyreek Hill has not been the same.
He came to back him up. Him and Calais Campbell. Those are 2 teammates you want right there.
Exactly. Like and subscribe.